Hello, YouTube. Jason from Renegade Rants Comics. So, I haven't been able to do my haul video from Terrificon yet. So, I've actually just got back from Vermont. I went over to Vermont, came back for Terrificon, went back over to Vermont the following Monday, and literally this is the first chance I've actually had to sit down and even really go through the stuff that I got. So, I don't know if anyone's gone to a con, but you end up amassing a lot of stuff, and some of the stuff you knew you got and some of the stuff you were buying in bundles. So I just kind of wanted to go through everything. So one thing that is going to be different is that when I got back, I decided I was going to buy a new computer. So if the video looks a little bit different, I record everything off of my phone, and my other computer is about 10 years old, wasn't taking updates, so I decided to upgrade. And I don't know if this is necessarily going to be an upgrade, but I'm going to try the video this way. So down in the comments, if you would, if you think this looks better, better quality, better sound quality, let me know. So in one of my previous videos saying about going to Terrificon, I had stated that I wasn't sure about the celebrity thing. And I actually didn't even barely go down to the celebrity area. It was kind of weird this year. They actually had it taped off better than in previous years, and I've gone down for 3 years in a row now. And but the way it was, it kind of snaked around other lines. So you had your comic creators like Chris Claremont, but like right behind him was the celebrity table, and then they had kind of the lines going like this. And I went down there a couple times, and I just was like, no, I am going to put the money in the books, because a lot of the comments you guys gave me said, don't waste your money on the autographs. Go get um, the books, or a higher grade book of what you're looking for. So the one thing I did while I was kind of down in Artist Alley over by like where the actors and everything were, I never really looked for artwork. Um, I don't have a problem with artwork. It's just never been something that I looked at. But they actually had, so Joe Rubenstein actually had this sitting at his table. So he signed it right here. And this was a print you could get for $20. But if you look right here, this is usually just white on the print. And he actually did a head sketch on the inside of this. So he had $65 marked on this. And I could not pass that up, because a head sketch from him, which isn't much bigger than this, can go for $150. So talked to him for a couple minutes. Really nice guy, but was kind of happy to add this. Then the other thing that I decided that I just couldn't live without were going to be these. So this was Joe Jesco, and he had a whole bunch of characters like these, but I just got the Wolverine and the Punisher. And, I put them in a frame because they're kind of an odd size, and wasn't sure how I was going to do it. But Joe actually lives in Syracuse area, about an hour from me. And Brandon Vermont and I've seen him a couple times down at Funky Town, the comic shop that we went to. But I couldn't pass those up, because usually at Funky Town, those are sold out before I ever get down there. So I wanted to get those. Thought that was a really good deal. And then every year I try to um, check out some interesting things. So this was one of the first things that they gave us when we walked in. It's a little 10-year anniversary of Terrificon comic. I thought that was kind of cool. I'm a coffee guy. So every morning we get down there, we're staying in an Airbnb, and yes, we had coffee, but I really wanted a good cup of coffee. So there was a gentleman that was selling coffee in there, but I found out he actually created his own books. And he signed it right in there. So this is Surrounded by Death. And the comic was $5, and the coffee was $5. And I tipped him well, because he made one heck of a cup of coffee. But the reason why he does what he does, as he gets down there with the vendor booth, because, he's independent, he's selling coffee to basically pay for being there. And it's genius. And he really had some good coffee. So if you see him somewhere, it's not a bad idea to check him out at one of the shows. So the other thing is the Hero Initiative. So every year I try to go over to the Hero Initiative because what they do is any of the creators that are going to be at Terrificon or events that they're at will actually sign a bunch of books for them, and then they put a price tag on them, and it comes with a certificate of authenticity from them. So this one I couldn't pass up. It's X Factor 51. And we have Al Milgram signed right there, and Louise Simonson. Let's see if I can get that signed right there. And I've got the certificate of authenticity for both. I have Extreme X-Men 28. And I have a lot of Claremont signatures, but it was signed by Claremont and Scott Hanna, who was also there. X Factor 33. And this was signed by both Walt and Louise Simonson. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I like that cover. And then I was actually kind of surprised. So they had Legion of Superheroes 40 to 44 in a bundle. And the reason I really wanted this is Jim Shooter had signed this. And I had saw him, I think the first year I was down at Terrificon, and I was going to, try to get a signature. And since he passed, I thought that was kind of cool, especially all of the books in this pack are signed by him and Manipal, the creators on it. So I thought that was kind of cool. So pick those up. And the thing with that is every dollar for those books goes to help comic creators that didn't ever get the monetary proceeds that they probably should have. And so it helps them with medical bills, housing, that kind of thing. And I think we should take care of our heroes, especially the ones that, drew the heroes for us. So one of the biggest goals I had, or main goals I had for the year, was to finish my Punisher War Zone and War Journal from the 90s, or late 80s, early 90s. So we made a dent, but we failed. I failed by 3 books each. So what did we get? So Punisher War Zone 32, Punisher War Zone 34, Punisher War Journal 54, Punisher War Journal 55, Punisher War Journal 57, Punisher War Journal 61, Punisher War Journal 64, War Journal 68, War Journal 70, War Journal 71, War Journal 72, War Journal 77, War Journal 78, and War Journal 80. So I'm missing about 3 issues each, which I'm going to tell you that in an upcoming video you will see them. And I had the same issue when I was trying to finish off the Danny Ketch Ghost Rider run. These last issues, whether it was the Punisher main series, the Ghost Rider Danny Ketch series, when they became a low print run, they are almost harder to find than some of the Silver Age books to complete a run. So I went on eBay. Since I was stuck in a hotel in Vermont, I bought everything, so those should be coming. But for Terrificon, I failed. But I did put a good dent in it. So the next thing that I was super, super trying to do was to complete my Ghost Rider run. And if anyone knows, The only book that I need to complete my Ghost Rider run is Marvel Spotlight 5. Again, Marvel Spotlight 5 can be a pretty pricey book. So I went in, and this is the first year I had saved up enough and I had more resources than I ordinarily do. So I was not going to necessarily scoff at pricing. Very Gary, one of the biggest shops, he's got a great YouTube channel. He had a couple things going on. So the one thing they had going on was a short box for $75. So literally, he had a bunch of long boxes set up behind his main booth where he had like the bigger books hanging up. And he had that where he would give you a short box and you paid $75 and literally could fill it up. And that started my nightmare of he had a ton of Wolverine. Wolverine was not on my agenda. I pick Wolverine up here once in a while when I can't find anything else. But I picked up enough Wolverine that I am now 83 issues from completing the Wolverine run. Not the current one. The current one I actually have coming ongoing, but the one that was the 1 through 213. And there was a couple side issues like early 2000s or mid 2000s they threw in continuity run. But I actually almost did a good number on that one. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Ghost Rider. Oh, wait, no. But I actually saw this, and I don't actually have any Carter Slade Ghost Riders. So I was actually looking, and these were pretty pricey. So this one right here, it's Dick Ayers cover and interior art, but it's very stained. But the guy had a good price on this. I saw this exact issue for like $50-$60. He wanted $18 on it, and I couldn't pass it up. So that may be a run that I'd go after at some point, but looking at the pricing on it, I'm thinking I've got one Carter Slade book in the collection. If something else falls in the lap, that's good enough. But then again, I also said I don't need to finish off my Wolverine run, you know. So, what did we do? So, my buddy Dave and I it actually came in together, met up with my other friend Sean, his girlfriend Heidi, his sister Sam, her husband Jesse, their baby Morgan. And we got in there and we had the 3-day pass. So if you're a foot member, which is fan of old Terrificon, or which is like VIP, or a 3-day pass holder, you can actually go in a shorter line and get in a half an hour early. So I looked around. I walked the floor. I basically, was looking at every wall. And I did not see a Marvel Spotlight 5. And I said, oh, come on. This is the time that I can actually pull the trigger or at least shop if a couple of places had it, or maybe even haggle because I made sure I had cash. So I get over to Very Gary's, and setting up on the wall was Marvel Spotlight 5. And I just stood and I stared. And he was talking to another customer. They finished, came over to me, and I'm like, how much are you getting on the Marvel Spotlight 5? And it was like a 7.0, so I knew that one was going to be out of my price range. And he goes, well, that's a 7.0 or 7.5. And he wanted like 1,500, 1,600, and that was too much. I couldn't do that. But he goes, well, I have it in a lower grade. And I go, what? So he pulled out a 1.5 CGC slabbed Marvel Spotlight 5. Now, The back, there's a huge tear here, a lot of water staining, but the cover on this, and I don't know if you guys can get a good clear look, and I'll be honest with you, I have not taken it out of the plastic. I kind of wanted to do it with you guys, but the price he had on this I could not pass up. But I don't think I'm going to find a better cover, and it's not like I'm going to be displaying the back. So I looked it up on the census. There are 22 1.5s, and I have one of them. There's only 5,800 Marvel Spotlight 5s on the CGC census to begin with. And I mean, some are higher grades, but this is it. This completes my Ghost Rider run. I've completed the Marvel Spotlight run, that had Ghost Rider. I have completed 1 through 80 or 81. I can't remember the number right now. I'm just excited about holding this. Bear with me. But I got this for $300. And I actually was looking on eBay before I went down, and I found a couple that I was almost thinking about for about $500. They weren't CDC. One was CDC that was a 2.0 for $594. And the guy sent me like a offer of like $560 something. And then another guy had a cover that looked like it had gone through the meat grinder, but it was all complete. He had offered it to me for $519. So the fact that I was able to find this, and I'm going to put a link down to Very Gary down below because I want everyone to support him. I've loved his channel for years, and the sad part is I even told him, I said, Gary, I don't know why I just don't come here first. Every time I go to Terrificon, he's got the book I'm looking for, decent prices, and I don't have to screw around walking around. Like, literally, if he came to something closer to me, I would almost just go to him, get the book that I want, and save myself 3 days of walking around and killing my feet. I'm just kidding. I love Terrificon. But I've done it. So now I have to consider, what are the rest of the year's goals, or am I going to take September until December and recoup financially from some of the stuff I did? So I spent some money down at Terrificon. The artwork, that book, was about what I usually would spend with gas and everything going down. And then I got that short box. The Punisher books I got from a supplier that some of them were cover price and some of them were $10 or $20 a book. And that's what I mean. Like the lower print runs, they're not keys. There are probably a handful of keys in all of the Punisher books that were ever out there. But it's because they are so hard to find, they're priced as if they were a key. And sometimes that even makes them a key. So that's just something to consider. So this is a longer video. If you like this sort of thing, like, share, and subscribe. But tell me, do you think I did all right at Terrificon this year? I'm going to do another video because I knew this was going to be kind of long on the Wolverine books I got, and I'm going to kind of split that up. But I hope everyone has a wonderful week, safe and happy weekend, and we will see you next time.